Today I'm going to be replacing the coolant outlet flange on a 2003 Audi TT with a 1.8. Pretty easy job. Normally you want to pull these 3 screws off. These are missing on this car. Just a Phillips screwdriver, a large flat blade, little plastic screws. Then you want to get this air box out of here. So this hose clamp, take this loose, unplug your MAF. I need 2 hands. Undo this screw right here, there, and then there's another one down there. So undo those, pull this little air injection line off. This is for the inlet for the air pump, and then pull this air filter housing right out of there. Alright, with the air box out of the way, this is what you see. You just go in here and disconnect this secondary air line where it attaches to the gate valve here. Move this stuff out of the way the best you can. You can see these hoses have already been, looks like, broken and repaired, but pretty easy to get into here now. So put a pan underneath it, and you can start pulling these all these coolant lines off this coolant flange. So just grab this clamp here, this clamp there, and pull those straight off. They usually don't corrode into place or anything like that because it's all plastic. And then you can undo the temp sensor and pull the other line off the bottom. So hopefully all of the clamps are in a direction where they're accessible. Usually on these they are. If they're not, you can get a pair of these remote hose clamp pliers. They look like this, and they go to a handle like this, and then you can kind of get these into harder to get to spring clamp spots. So that's it. I'm going to pull these 3 hoses off this flange now and let the coolant dump everywhere. Alright, now with the hoses all removed and the temp sensor unplugged, you have to use a 10mm socket and go in like this. Here, get the upper bolt, and then get the lower bolt. There's just the 2 bolts that hold this. It'll help sometimes to look at your new one right here. So this is how it's in there, like this. So you just upper and lower bolt on these. Another thing is, I've had a lot of trouble with aftermarket ones, especially if they're aftermarket plastic ones. I've seen some aluminum ones that have worked out pretty well, but a lot of the plastic ones that you buy, the Chinese ones, they leak quickly, and not a good idea. So either use an OEM one or an aluminum one that's good quality. Some of the aftermarket ones don't even have this little kind of gussets that are formed into it here, and they'll distort, and they'll quickly, because this bolt's so far away from the center point and there's just the 2 bolts, it'll distort and start leaking everywhere. So I see it pretty often when they're not factory. Yeah, so that's it. Just take those 2 bolts off, and then you can sneak that thing right out of there. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Not hard. It's not too hard to get to. You can, even though my video is not really showing it, it's not very difficult. Just get those 2 off. 10mm socket, 1/4" drive, and I'm gonna do that. All right, now I just undid those 2 nuts, pulled that right off there, and there's the flange. So what I like to do is clean this with something like this, just a little scuff pad, until it looks real nice and the sealing surface looks clean. And see, what usually happens on these is the flange just breaks down like this. You can see if I get this O-ring out, you can see it better. The inner edge of the flange just broke down. Here's my new one. Good time to replace this temp sensor too. These are fairly problematic. You know, that's another one you want to use an OEM sensor, and you know, a new O-ring, and a new little plastic clip too, since they're cheap. And yeah, just clean that all up. Put this back in. 2 nuts. Attach all your lines. Plug the sensor back in. On the sensor, I like to use a little bit of the brake grease, Silglide. You know, whichever kind of brake grease you want. It works pretty well for the rubber, and it doesn't destroy it. And yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching.